welcome to our 134th episode of Gorilla Radio. I'm Joe Caprino. I am joined by someone very special. That is not, oh man, come on. Not David Taylor.
If you came for David Taylor, I apologize.
I have Mr. Jerimiah Maggart of the Jimtown Jimmies, and we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Wrestling Classic as I get my get the chat stuff going, because it obviously is not working all of a sudden. So Jeremiah was one of our honorary coaches for Team Indiana, and hold on a second. So how was your trip? What do you think about the trip? We'll get your first initial reactions right now before we get too far into it. First time going there, and maybe first time in Pennsylvania. How was your? What do you think of the trip?
Yeah, it was awesome. The tournament itself, like I was telling you while we were there, it was like one of the coolest events I've ever been to. From the time we got there, kind of treated you like you were special and like royalty, almost like all the kids, they get their like all their swag and all their like singlets and all that stuff, and just meeting everybody when you're coming in, and telling you, oh, like if you're hungry you can do this and this, and it's like little different type of environment for a wrestling tournament, but really cool. And then obviously the banquet, you get to see David Taylor walking through the hallway and stop, and he asked me to take a selfie with him, so I did, and that was pretty cool. And so just, I don't know. And then the wrestling part, being in a place where you're never usually in a place where everyone doesn't want you to win, so when you're in Pennsylvania and they're all cheering against you, that's pretty cool to me. Maybe you have like 14 fans, which is like our team, and like a couple parents sitting up there, but it was really exciting environment, and as a whole, the tournament was just really cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's my second time being there, and kind of knew what to expect, but still, it's such a neat event for the kids more than anything. I know everyone had a great time, win or lose. A lot of great memories. I liked hanging out with the kids and everything, and getting to know them in a non-competitive atmosphere, knowing I'm not going to coach against these kids, and I'm in that level that we sat there, Big Mike putting down like 3 plates at breakfast time.
Yeah.
He definitely likes his food. There's a reason, and I heard that his after weigh-in, post weigh-in food is ribs. Said he brought lobster one time.
Oh, nice.
So it's such a great event that from start to finish. Mike's in here now. I think Mike's jealous now.
Tables to turn, Mike. You get to watch me today, buddy.
So yeah, I think it was a great event. First class like you said, from the get go. I know Landon's little brother got like a shirt. You can play the whole time.
I did. We walked in there together. They gave him a shirt. Like they're like, "What size you wear?" And I'm like standing right there. I was like, "Oh man, I guess I don't get one." And they got him one, and he got everybody's signature, like all the kids from like USA and Indiana and all that on there. So that was really cool for him, and all the kids, like you said, meeting all the kids, even on our own team, but just knowing those guys outside of that competitive environment is really pretty cool, because you kind of get to know them a little bit.
Yeah, and all the Indiana kids are all pretty cool. They're pretty nice, pretty low key when you get them off the mat, and they're not, a lot of them will see like Al Smith and stuff, and it's, you're laser focused, you're intent, you're focused on your kids and stuff, and you don't get to sit down and chat with Big Mike about ribs and whatever he had for breakfast.
I sat next to him at dinner after the event, and I think he ate more of that roast beef than I think anyone ever, or whatever the meat was. He's like, "This is really good." He's just hammering it.
Yeah, no, and hanging out with some of the parents and stuff, I really hadn't, especially ones down south and stuff. I sat with some of them, and I wasn't sure exactly what parents they were, but I knew they're Indiana people. So, but getting to know them, that was pretty neat. Coach Tom Griffin, Cooper Samuels, having be able to have maybe a couple of adult beverages with them, and maybe you, I guess, was a good time.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Maybe threatening, that you can beat some Olympians or something. I don't know. There's
There was no threats. It was a hypothetical situation.
hypothetical situation. So, I guess we'll recap a little bit of the action. The results were not exactly in our favor, but I think there are a lot of competitive matches from from everybody. Um, Braxton Vest got a couple takedowns and end up losing by major decision. I think he gave up some back points late. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yeah, and it was a pretty good match most of the way,
Yeah.
and then kind of pulled away a little bit later. Um, he was in on some stuff early on, and I think just kind of the match wore down a little bit toward the end to make it. It ended up being a major, didn't it?
Yeah, I think gave up a late like 2 points.
15-6, maybe.
But like one of the things that we noticed, I know we were talking afterward, like you could tell that they were only 2 weeks out of their season, um, and we were 4 or 5. We were 5 weeks out of our season, and there's a definitely you can't lose as much conditioning and sharpness, especially after a state tournament like the PA tournament. And you could tell we were a little bit out of shape in a couple areas, and just a little bit of crispness that we were missing that we had a few weeks ago before we had a good 4-week break. So yeah, Mateo Vargo 126 lost 6-1. Another match he was in, a couple deep shots, and just got out scrambled in a couple situations. Um, Elijah Anthony had a real good match. It was tied going in. I think it was tied going in the third period, and he gave up a
Yeah,
couple
he was in on a
takedowns.
lot of stuff too.
Yeah,
He was really in on a lot of shots and just couldn't quite finish. And yeah, that was a really good match.
yeah, and he has a pretty good motor on him. He's going to be good in the college uh, scene, with that motor and stuff.
Yeah.
Ben Miller wrestled tough. Kind of was a late replacement a couple weeks ago. Was wrestling tough and just I think he was a little bit undersized too, even though he went down a weight class, and it kind of showed. Towards late, he got put to his back pretty deep. Then Hayden Watson versus Jack Pletcher. Pletcher is Luke Pletcher's younger brother, and that was a real good match. Hayden got the first takedown, was riding pretty good. Pletcher just had a ton of great mat returns that kind of set the tone. Imagine that he's just like his brother, pretty good in that position, and kind of end up wearing down on Hayden in the third period. Hayden Hayden was on spring break, flew up on Thursday, flew back to spring break on Saturday afterwards. So that's some dedication.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like hearing that when you told me that, I was like, dude, that's really cool because you tell everyone to wrestle. And he was on attack the whole match, just couldn't quite get underneath him. Pletcher's like head defense was really good. I think he even caught a headbutt after trying to use his face to stop Hayden from getting in on him. But Hayden was all over the attack. He's in pretty good shape still, I think, for being this far out of the season because I think he took 40 shots.
Yeah. Yeah, he did, and that was a good, like you said. Pletcher had really good defense. Kept a real good low stance, and um, I know I was just listening to the PA Power podcast. Maybe they're going to chime in here, but I mean, they're even kind of saying that this is probably one of the better Whip IL teams that they've seen put together in a long time, and a lot of high state placers, a lot of a handful, a few champs, which usually their champs get promoted to the PA team, and that PA team almost beat. They were real close to beating the USA, which is
Yeah.
an extremely rare occurrence. I mean, there was a couple real close matches towards the end that one of them gets flipped and PA wins, which is not something that usually happens. And that was a pretty tough USA team too. So that tells you kind of how strong the senior class is in Pennsylvania. Tyler Jones wrestled well against his guy and ended up losing 7-2. Just talking to him afterward, he just couldn't find his offense. I think the guy kind of held good position, and he just couldn't break that head hands defense to get to his shots and to his attacks. Probably the best match of the night in the undercard: Jay Conway, Jared Kessler. Conway was doing pretty well. Got launched for 4 late in the third period.
He was up 1-2, I believe,
Yeah,
in third when he got thrown.
yeah,
That was probably the best match of the duel. I think just. I mean, not the outcome, but like the actual match itself. Those two guys were both really good, getting after each other, and just the position fighting and everything was really pretty entertaining. He got in on some really good attacks, and then that just kind of relaxed a little bit in a dangerous position with his guy.
yeah. And that, I mean, that it was pretty cool. I mean, even being on the bad side of that, when when they did, when that throw did happen, that place exploded. So
Yeah,
you can tell Pennsylvania takes wrestling pretty seriously. They take that event extremely seriously um, from the get-go. Everyone, I mean, the place is packed to go watch their guys, and that's what's kind of cool. I know, talking to some people about some other events that I've attended and stuff, that they're like, so what do you how do you compare this to that? And it's almost not fair when you're talking PA versus the world. They're going to bring out their
yeah,
fans. They're going to be rooting for their guys. And that's one of the cool things about the whole event is you're going into enemy territory, and they're not going to the calls aren't going your way. There's going to be questionable calls on the edge that not quite as many as last time, but there were a couple of questionable calls where they kind of stopped it a little early, we thought. And I mean, you gotta play that bad guy role a little bit. So um at 170, we finally got a win. Brody Porter from Eastern, he was up 4-3 going into the third period, got rode out, got dinged for stalling a couple times, decided to let the guy run a chicken wing pretty much for about 2 minutes straight. My arm,
he had a plan though.
his shoulder has to be still sore.
He told me he had a plan afterward, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he and then he ended up, as soon as the whistle blew pretty early. I thought, I was like, man, just got rode out. He's tired. Ends up getting a pretty quick takedown in overtime, and make sure that we don't get blanked. I know that was a good match. I mean, it was a good matchup. Brody's pretty tough, and kind of that was a good match for him. And hopefully next time he learns. There's a picture of me talking to him, and I know exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying, do you know how to get out of a chicken wing? The best way to get out of
Yeah,
a chicken wing is not let it get in.
right. He looked really good in that match. Other than the bottom, like third period, I thought he kind of controlled the match. Wrestling really tough on his feet, moving around, and then just I think got a little tired, and then that kid got a really deep wing in, and I was like, oh man, he's wrestled so good to like give up a turn here, but he didn't give it up.
Yeah, yeah, and that's interesting. The refs, you always you go different areas. You wonder what you go different areas in our state. Refs call things differently. They let the top stuff with wings and halves and things go pretty deep, a lot deeper than we're used to in Indiana.
Yeah, it
That's
was definitely
some
all positions on top. They were kind of letting it go,
Yeah, no wonder
which
they're
is
good
I
on
like
top. No,
personally. But
I don't know if the refs have investments in the local orthopedic surgeons or what, but they're definitely, especially that wing got pretty deep. I can't I want to say against Landon got some pretty tough position. I want to say Elijah Anthony, they had a pretty deep half on him, and they didn't stop it. So
yeah,
um, there are a lot of places in there. 182. I'll let you comment on Landon. Wrestling up a weight, not easy when you're wrestling at that level. Lost 2-0, gave up a takedown. Was right in that match the whole time. Um,
yeah. He sometimes just doesn't pull the trigger, and I think nerves a little bit. Like the atmosphere was cool. I just knew it might get to him a little. So it was
mhm.
like a 0-0 first. Both guys kind of feeling it out. Was able to get a leg in on top, and the kid was pretty explosive and kind of reversed him and rode him out. Which I was telling you that he didn't get rode out a lot, so that was like one of those. I thought across the board the PA kids are really good on top, which I think we've known for a long time. But and then third period went neutral, but just couldn't quite get on an attack. But yeah, he's not. I mean, moved up a weight. I mean, he's about that big now anyway. But he wrestled tough, and he's one of those kids that he doesn't care. How good a kid is. He'll wrestle anybody. So it was fun, and I know he really enjoyed the experience too. So it was awesome to see him kind of test himself in that environment, which I really liked.
Yeah, definitely. I knew when I asked you guys, I knew he'd go out there and he'd battle. He's going to keep it close no matter what, and give himself a chance to win when it counts, and he was right there. 195, Connor Barkett lost 8-0, gave up a late turn. Was in a couple good shots early on, just couldn't convert, and then just gave up that late turn to make it a major. 220, Juan Grange kind of does what he does. He likes to pull out late scores to win matches. He was down 3-2 late, and probably 15 seconds to go, 10-15 seconds to go, kind of just did a peek out from his shot and ends up on top and holds on for the win.
Right. Coach Cooper Samuels gets the dub on that when he yells peek out, and it was like they were in sync. I think Juan said, he's like, I was already thinking it, and then Cooper screamed it and he just peeked out. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's won quite a few matches that way. Late scores. I mean, you could tell his gas tank was running on E, but he pulled it out. Then the last match, Big Mike lost a 3-2 match, gave up that takedown in the first period, just couldn't find his way to offense there. So, I mean, like I said, a lot of close matches. I mean, there's there's 3 matches I think that we could have easily switched about 4 matches we could have 5. We lost by 2. Pletcher, Watson lost by 2. Conway lost by 2. Landon lost by 2. There's 4 matches right there that we win half of them if we reverse those or just get one more takedown. So
Right.
It was a little ugly, but when you actually get there, as Dan Fieser, I know he drove out there. It's pretty cool to see a handful of other fans out there. He said that we wrestled well, and the scoreboard usually isn't the best indicator there. So, Team USA, we're usually pretty good when we wrestle for Team USA. We only lost 1 match at the Classic. Zeke Seltzer used a nice little 4-point headlock in the first period and decided to get a, his dad said, who was his dad talking to? He's talking to somebody about, yeah, he does have a really nice headlock. I just don't want him doing it.
Me and him were talking early in the day, like during those interviews, about like youth wrestling and just teaching kids how to wrestle and not just throwing headlocks and blah blah blah. And he's like, yeah, we were talking about Zeke as a kid, and he goes, yeah, we're trying to get him to learn how to wrestle. And he goes, he does have a pretty damn good headlock though. And I was like, yeah. And then like as soon as that match happened, that's all I could think about was, yeah, you're right, he's got a pretty good headlock because he launched him. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and he ended up winning 8-3, pretty dominant 8-3 win. Then Jesse 21-7, missed a takedown on the edge that would have probably helped get him the tech fall. The one guy that he kind of wanted ended up not wrestling. He just came back for the state series late. It was injured most of the season. Kind of wasn't. I know. Talking to Hector a little bit. He's they were kind of hoping they got the other guy. But knowing he came back just for the state series, he probably was not going to wrestle here against a pretty tough opponent. And then Jesse ended up getting the outstanding wrestler for Team USA, which was pretty cool. He got a big trophy, and Juan got it for Team Indiana. They both got a really cool trophy, and then a Bluetooth speaker from Milwaukee Tool.
Yeah. So, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna. I was like, what did they give him? And and I was asking Juan, and I looked at it like, oh, it's a Bluetooth speaker. So that's pretty cool. They definitely treated the kids right. They got a bunch of gear. I even got you a T-shirt, so you can't complain.
You did. I finally got my shirt. I wasn't as high as Landon's little brother, but you pulled some strings and got me a shirt, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty. I hate to ask for things, but I was like, hey, can I get a shirt for our one coach? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. And I mean, it like I said, the hospitality there is A1. And I was like, hey, can I get it? At that thing, I was like, I don't want to bug you, I don't want to be needy, but can I get a shirt as I got one for my son, and I got one for I grabbed one for you, and I was like, I don't, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, and he just dropped everything. I mean, I don't know if they were doing anything that they needed to be done, but and went up there and we got the shirts and we were good from there. So, it's pretty cool. Talking to them, I think we're going to be in a regular rotation to probably get in there every 5-ish years. Depends on if where our guys line up and what if they need someone. I know if they called us 2 weeks before, I'd put together a team and we'd go out there.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. It'd be definitely cool to be like a regular part of it as a state because I think it's an experience those kids will remember for a long time and really enjoy.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool.
So what the Buchanans say afterward on you guys' way home? Were they pretty
They were
impressed?
steep, and I had to drive. So, but I know I was talking to like his parents, and I mean they were like that was really cool, and they were really happy to be a part of it. And they've done a lot of traveling and wrestling all over at different stuff, and like I think they were same thing. I think they were impressed by just like the level of them just as a parent and someone like, oh, there's food in there if you guys are hungry. Like it wasn't like they were trying to kick anybody away. It was like you're part of the event, so they wanted you to experience all the fun stuff that everyone else experienced, which was pretty cool. Like his brother getting a shirt, it wasn't like anybody was real stingy with like accommodating like a family or like anybody else. So I thought that was cool. I know they really liked it.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. They they looked like they had some fun, and Lane, you see a kid like Lane, his brother was in fourth grade and getting all the shirts and stuff like that. That's pretty neat. And being around the wrestlers, I know a lot of kids were working out on Friday afternoon, and I'm sitting there watching David Taylor work out with Feldman, and then after he's done working out, he went and talked to another kid who's working on just like little technique things. It's kind of neat just sitting there watching what they're working on and just the minute little details that he's working on. The kid's dad's a NCAA champ, and the dad's just sitting there watching and asking questions and things like that, which is it's pretty neat to see people at that level interact and ask each other questions and kind of make each other better, which is really cool to see it that in the sport.
Yeah. That first day, that like workout session where our guys wrestled the USA guys was pretty cool. Landon's got the monster that's going to Missouri, and after he's done, and he gets after it, he's not gonna like back down much. And then afterward, you can tell he's tired. And I'm like, how do you think a match with him would go? He goes, well, I don't think I'd get tech fault. So like it's like, yeah, that kid's pretty good, isn't he? So, but he thought that was cool, and just seeing some of, like you said, watching Jesse and Zeke and guys like that drill is pretty cool to just, I could sit there all day and watch that kind of, where you're like, oh yeah, I don't really have to like go over there and, give your input every 2 seconds. You just watch those guys who are really good and have put a ton of work in over time, just do it right. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Braxton Vest was wrestling that Joey Cruz from California, and
Yeah.
the practice, and he's like, that kid was going so hard. He's like, and then the flow camera came on, and I had to keep trying to go hard, and I was, so I was like, I teased him. I said, hey, I think he's coming to Indiana Tech. He's like, I'm gonna get in the transfer portal right now. I'm not gonna last. So, so yeah, it's pretty cool event. I go, you met some new friends. The Iowa guys, the Big Game Wrestling Club, and you're not part owner. You bought
they're cool. I might be a part owner because I just spent $150 on their stuff. They had the coolest logo ever, and I was trying to, I may have been trying to get a free shirt out of these guys, but I asked him if they had a store, and he's like, oh yeah, it's online now, and it just happens to be Nike stuff. So don't tell my wife, but I just spent like $150 on all their stuff, and when it comes in the mail, I have to try to get it before it hits the door. But I'll be swagged up pretty soon. You guys will see all my new gear.
So you're starting Big Game East. BG.
We might. We're going to talk to him about franchising if we can maybe get that in the Bago community. I think I sell a lot of merch. If anything, might not have all the kids we need, but we could probably get the merch sold pretty good. It's
that might be a big way to promote the wrestling there. I mean, we got deer heads on our gear.
We should be able to get like some Heights kids over and all that stuff. I think we got a market for it here in Indiana.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah. When you saw that, man, you're like, what is it?
It was awesome. I was like, that was maybe the second coolest thing of the weekend. I think it was just that wrestling club logo.
Yeah, and they brought like half a dozen coaches too. I think it seemed.
Yeah, they had quite a few.
Yeah, I sat beside one of them on the way to the event and stuff, and talking to him about wrestling, and they were talking about Iowa and stuff, and they know a guy I know in Iowa. I was talking to, like, do you know him? He's like, yeah. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat just to network with a lot of those people. I was talking to the PA Power guy a lot. about websites and things we do and all that kind of good stuff that that the website nerds talk about. So there's a little clique of website people talking to each other, exchanging ideas and things like that. So
Yeah.
what so any other comments on the event that you had that you saw that you want to comment on? How was the drive back home? I know it's pretty rough.
Yeah, it's not really a bad drive. It's like it's a one road for us. It's like toll road all the way. But like on the way back, we're like everyone else is asleep, and you just like had a whole event. And you're like I'm like looking around. Luckily, Landon's dad was kind of awake most of the drive back, but it wasn't the drive wasn't bad. I think we hit every weather pattern on the way of snow to sun to rain. But yeah, I mean, the event as a whole, like seeing, I think we saw David Taylor, Jason Nolf, Frank Molinaro, Vincenzo Joseph. I mean, like just when you're walking around an event and that's the kind of people you're like running into. Hector Mendez, and you got to throw him in there. He had my back on the hypothetical match that he was going to put his money on me. So I really have a lot of more respect for that guy now than I already had a lot before, but now I'm even more. So
yeah, you want to talk about your hypothetical match, or do we not want this on recorded live internet?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I want anyone particular to see it, but so I'll give the backstory, I guess. When you're like teaching your kids a move in the room, and you're like, it's a wing, and you're like, if I get this wing on, Kyle Snyder, I should be able to get it because you have it so tight or whatever. Somehow Sisson said, I don't know how someone gets turned in just a regular like wrist and a half. And I was like, I'll turn David Taylor with this wrist and a half or whatever. So then it just kind of evolved. But I knew full well I was not going up to David Taylor and touching him by any stretch. But I was real confident, like I would be with the kids in practice, as long as he didn't come near me. So it was like the era debate where like, could someone beat this guy? But it's never going to happen.
Yeah,
that's how I envisioned it.
Yeah,
so,
and you're still pretty confident in your.
Yeah, because he's back wherever he is right now, so I feel real good in my basement that I could definitely turn him. But I wasn't going to find out.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. They brought shoes for the. He brought shoes for the. Unfortunately, it was not for the undercard team, but they brought all brand new shoes, Scrap Life shoes to the for the guys in the main event. We did get rubbed in a little bit with Cliff Fretwell.
Yeah, right away.
Were you in the locker room when you were?
Yeah, when he's like, "Hey, get your shoes on." We're like, "Yeah, we don't have any."
Yeah, poor Cliff kind of weaseled his way in, and not Roy. He ended up coming and ends up getting promoted to Team USA coach, and then on top of that, did not get the memos on the shirt and tie for the banquet on Friday, so I had to take him to a TJ Maxx. He's like, "Oh yeah, there's a TJ Maxx down here. Well, I'll find something here." And I would hate to say that I don't frequent TJ Maxx's. I don't know if you do, but I don't. So I didn't know what to expect, and they didn't have very good selection. So we ended up finding a Macy's where he got a nice little outfit. And then on his way back, the one guy that was the leader of one of the committee members said, "Hey, Cliff, can you run the practice?" So he got notified that he was running the practice. He's like, "Man," I was like, "Man, you got to do a practice plan and everything." He's like, "Oh, great. Now I got to figure out, I'm going to make these guys do like a 30-minute grind match and stuff."
Yeah.
So that was quite a bit of fun, hanging out with guys like that all weekend. And, the parents, I think the parents had a good time. I know Tom Griffin's wife had a great time on Thursday night. So I think she might have challenged David Taylor to a match. She didn't know who he was, which is even better.
Yeah, that's even better if you go into it blind.
Yes. Even without a wrist and a half.
Right. No, that's always fun, just like to meet, like talking to like Vargo's parents and people like I kind of like know who they are, but I've never really like sat down and had a conversation with them. But just all the different people you kind of meet. That's what's cool about wrestling anyway. You kind of meet all these different people, and now you're on the same team as opposed to like wanting, their kid to beat your kid during the year. Everybody kind of comes together a little bit, that's kind of the fun of this kind of thing, where you're all like kind of wanting to hang out and talk and just talk wrestling. And I think we could talk wrestling with anybody, which is always cool. And so that was fun.
Yeah, hanging out with Sisson and Cooper was good. You know, they're good guys, and they always have a. I forgot to wear my nice jacket. You know,
You should have wore your shirt.
yeah, I'm taking my talents to Floyd's Knobs.
Yeah.
Uh, Cooper.
I liked the sales pitch on Facebook the other day from
Yes.
Russell. I was like, man, I was put an application link with that kind of talk.
That's right in your wheelhouse. Yeah, Cooper was like getting ready to leave, packing everything. He's like, I always leave something. So I left after him. I was, kind of just talking to the making sure everyone's getting out and making sure all the bills are paid before I head out, so I don't get a call halfway to Indiana. But Cooper's like, yeah, I forgot something. I always forget something, so I was kind of just making sure there were no chargers or anything left. And I look in the closet. I go, oh, I got me a new shirt. So
yeah, looked like it fit good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good on me. I mean, I didn't think green would look that good on me, but I guess it does. So
yeah,
guess that might just take the 4-hour commute every day to coach.
Yeah, that seems like a long way down. I've never been there, but that seems far.
Yeah, that's off the beaten path a little bit, but yeah, no, it was pretty cool hanging out with those guys. I really never had met Tom Griffin. I mean, I've coached against him, but never really sat there and met him, talked to him. Good guy. And we ended up having a couple of acquaintances we knew. The guy that I wrestled with ended up coming in and helping out where he went to college a little bit. And we both knew him and both knew what we were saying. We didn't have to say too much about him. So pretty neat to, just, have common acquaintances like that. And then I ended up meeting a guy that went to Findlay a couple years after I did. Afterward, one of his uncle was one of the committee members. I was like, do you know this guy? He's like, yeah, that's my nephew. And he's here. I'm like, oh, cool. So I talked to him a little bit and kind of shared some college wrestling stories that he got a kick out of. So pretty neat event, and I'm glad that we're able to. Chelsea says you're IndianaMat famous.
Yeah, Chelsea's one of my hype ladies too. That's Wade France's mom, so we go way back.
You got lots of fans.
I got all this swag too, so I didn't wear it because I wore it all weekend, so it's probably in the washer. But I got new IndianaMat shirts thanks to Joe, so I'm gonna be looking good walking around the school.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you got all the kids nice little special IndianaMat shirt for the classic, and got them a nice little thick sweatshirt with the IndianaMat logo, and then they got a ton of gear. They got bags, shirts, singlets, warm up top, shorts. I don't know, Powerade bars or Gatorade bars, Gatorade bottles. They hooked them up pretty heavily there, which was pretty neat for.
And Big Mike got a few extra water bottles to take back to Westfield.
Yeah, they had the Marine. I think was it the Marines or the Army, whoever was there. They put water bottles on every seat, and when you walk in there, it was just they had these water bottles everywhere, and only about 4 people took them. I think it was Big Mike took about 90% of them, and I don't know what happened to the rest because there were a lot of them that I don't think people really picked up.
Yeah, he filled his entire Cliff Keen bag. He took the stuff out, I think gave it to Best. Yes. And then he has a business plan. I won't ruin his business plan if you purchased one. But he had a plan.
Check eBay, check the Facebook Marketplace around the Westfield area. Yeah, he was pretty hilarious talking to him a little bit. Moved. He's actually really, truly Russian. Moved here from Russia, and still, I tried getting him to speak Russian in the interviews, just to kind of put a little intimidation factor in there, pretend like he doesn't know English. But he wouldn't pull the trigger quite that quickly. Yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah. We even though they're not online yet, and we got to poke the Flow guys, but they did do interviews with the guys on Friday, which is pretty cool. I'm sure Landon's
should be amazing because he's not a great speaker, whether you're in person or he's just very quiet. So I moved away when he did it because I didn't want him to totally screw it up. But I haven't gotten to hear it because it isn't on there. So I'm hoping at least we could get the archive. It would be awesome just because I want to hear what he said.
Yeah, I'll poke the guy that tonight to see if they can put those up. I know I'm sure they're pretty hilarious. I mean, they're pretty standard questions, and they didn't really know as much about the Indiana guys, so it was a little bit harder for them to interview. But I'm sure they said some good things. And it seemed like pretty good interviews from what I kind of was listening to. So, but
When they did the test run, Landon was in the chair and they had Elijah Anthony ask him a question and he said, like 15 times. And then Elijah tells the rest of the kids on our team, well, at least ours won't be the worst one. So that was pretty funny.
yeah,
So I'm really excited to see what that it turns out into.
yeah, definitely. We'll post those on IndianaMat once we get them. So, so any I don't know, anything else you want to talk to about? Any transfers at Jimtown? Any new students that populated at Jimtown lately?
There may be some there may be some people at Jimtown. There's lots of it's a great community.
People
So
just lining up to move in there. No.
no one moving in. So
Just
that I know of.
you know of, okay. No. So you might be able to go back to Pittsburgh next year if a certain person may or may not be in your school system. So
Yeah.
you can go back.
That'd be
So, um, I guess be a short and sweet one. Anything else you want to talk about? You said you wanted to be on the Gorilla Radio. I know this is like a lifelong dream.
yeah, this is like a dream. The Pittsburgh Classic, not Griller. I feel like I could retire tomorrow and I would have fulfilled all my wrestling goals.
Yeah,
So, no, it was really. I mean, we talked a lot about it, but it was a great event. Like really cool to just be a part of it. I know having a kid on it, like was awesome, and I know he was looking forward to it, and I think it was probably lived up to that. I was trying to like downplay the nerve part of it for him because I know sometimes it gets a little nervous, but even when I was there, I was like, man, this is pretty sweet. So it might be a little nerve wracking just going out there, but our guys competed hard. I don't know, like you said, the scoreboard didn't really show how close some of those matches were. Like we talked about the little difference in the timing of the season. I think I don't know that we win that duel, but I think you got seniors that are 5 weeks out of season from grinding for 4 months, and then you have a really good group of guys from the Pennsylvania that kind of just got done. So that I think those matches were close and could go either way on certain days, but those teams are tough. Like it's trying to explain that to non-wrestling people the last couple of days, where you're like, hey, this little area of Pennsylvania just beat our whole state because they're that good,
yeah,
and then Pennsylvania just almost beat the whole country. Like, because they're, you got like Feldman and guys like that are just monsters. But it was, I don't know, I really enjoyed even watching the duel. You look back, I think we were there for what, like 4 hours after those two duels, but you weren't really thinking about it while it was happening until you're done. You're like, man, this has been a long thing, but they were so exciting. So,
yeah. No, I mean, that definitely. They had a real good team, and they take that seriously. That's the biggest thing that I mean that I think our kids kind of, you know, a lot of our people are familiar with the Indiana Illinois thing. Not very many people take it to. You have a few people take it seriously. Some kind of really don't, and you can kind of tell. I mean, you were there. It's there's not a big. I mean, there's a lot of fanfare here. You get big introductions, exchange medals, things like that they do, and they take this thing seriously and they want to win, and that's I mean, there's a lot of pride in that area of Pennsylvania. I mean, that's probably the strongest area of wrestling. Period. I mean, guys like Jason Knopf, Nico Megaludis, Spencer Lee, um, uh, Chenzo Joseph. Those guys are all come from that area, so they take a ton of pride in wrestling in that area, and
yeah,
that's something that's hard to kind of envision without seeing it firsthand. So I think, and as Eric said, I think, and we were talking this off air, but they were really good on top. That's always been a thing with Pennsylvania. I mean, they're good on top, and I think they is one of those things that you kind of exposed that Indiana was not very good on bottom. and that was overall from all of the kids. I mean, we had 10 different schools represented from Indy area, Northwest Indiana, Northeast Indiana, down south. And I think it was interesting, as a coach sitting there and seeing overall we were not very good on bottom compared to them.
Yeah. And I just think they wrestle that position totally different too. Like you didn't see a lot of guys cut Indiana guys or US unless it was like a situation where they needed a takedown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they grind on you. They're good in that position. That like they put a lot of pressure on you. I don't think there was one easy, oh, we're going neutral right off off the bat. Like they made you earn an escape if you even got one, and they could turn you. What was it? One Joey Cruz's match, US team. That kid was a monster on top. I mean, I don't know if he was better on his feet, but he was all over him when he was on top, and that was like probably why he won the match. He did get a takedown later, but I think it was from being on a wrist tilt and everything else for 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's definitely they had a lot of good mat returns. That's one thing I know. I mean, like you said, they didn't give anything easy. I think even in our matches, I think we were 50-50 with takedowns on them. I mean, honestly, I think, you go by, look at the guys and, as far as on our feet, we were just as good as them on our feet. I'd even say maybe we were a little bit better. Like you said, they wear on us and, that kind of stuff. It was interesting to see as a coach, as someone that, sitting back and looking at Indiana as a whole. You have just such a, and I think a lot of it is their competition level that they see. How many good matches are is Landon seeing in a year? He's seeing before the state tournament. You guys go to Al Smith, you're gonna see a couple good matches, a few good matches there. You're gonna see a few matches during the season, but out of 40 matches, he has like 10 good matches at most.
Right.
And that's even look at even some of the other guys. How many matches are they truly pushed? And there, in Pennsylvania, they have to fight, all season long, and they get to go to some of the bigger events, so they're kind of used to that kind of level, which they're going to learn to wrestle on bottom and learn to wrestle on top too, to keep those guys down for not give them any easy points. So so hopefully we learn something as a state. We got to get better on bottom, and little things like that are huge. And it's kind of interesting to see it at that level, how where we are on top and bottom. So
yeah. I think I texted somebody that day and I was like, I feel like we've known this for 20 years and they're still like, it's like not new. Their hammers on top and we're still behind. So that's definitely.
We've wrestled some teams from a team from PA at Disney Duels, and I'm going to try to not choose bottom as much as possible.
Right.
I don't even know if this team's like known to be good on top, but I'm not going to forcibly put our guys underneath if we don't have to.
Right. Yeah.
And this is a reason why. I mean, they had kids from 10, 8, 9 different schools, and kind of showed that they were all pretty good on top, and they all, I mean, we had a hard time getting, they didn't give us any free points, and that's pretty impressive with the level of guys that we had wrestling there, and stuff. So, but overall, great event. I'm excited. I know I'll leak out a little bit of information. I've been talking to some people about a similar event, maybe in the coming year or so. I got some contact, talking to a lot of people, at the event, and some people that have some influence that we're trying to work on something. You guys can kind of take a hint of what that is, but it's a very similar event that would be hosted in Indiana. Wink, wink. I know we have some kids that would like to do that again, and it was pretty cool when we did it in the past. So kind of hoping that maybe we can pull something off for next year. It's always neat putting these things together. It's neat to sit and be able to have some Pepsis with you and Samuels and Sisson and all those guys, and kind of in a relaxed environment and just talk wrestling and shoot the stuff. And hang out with the parents and learn about things. Like, I didn't realize Jay Conway's family owns a candy store basically down south, so we're heading that way next on the weekend. So I'm trying to figure out if we can kind of sneak our way down through there and get some go to
another shirt.
Store. Yeah, so you kind of I didn't talking to Vargo's mom and dad, and they were going they're going straight to NHCA's to see their one younger boy wrestle, and talking to him about the Penn program and things like that. So it's pretty neat just to get to know people a little bit in a relaxed environment and stuff. So we'll Derek, we'll be in touch. We're gonna try to sneak through that way when we go down south to Tennessee. So so no, it's a great time, and I'm glad that we can put it together and give these kids that kind of experience, because win or lose, it's going to be something that they remember for a while, and I'm sure Landon was wearing his one of his shirts or something. I'd be surprised if not all those kids weren't wearing one of their shirts to school today. So
yeah, I didn't see him today. I teach elementary school, but I'm guessing he probably had something on. But
I'm sure his brother was still, as his brother took.
Yeah, I'm sure Hayden had his shirt on. He was pumped.
Has he taken it off yet? That's the question.
Yeah, I told him, I said, you may only be able to wear that once and then wash it, because if you wash it too many times, that all the ink's going to come off from the signatures.
Yeah. No,
I didn't get my signature though, so I'm a little disappointed on that. I didn't rank high enough, but
yeah, he actually was going to let me sign it, but I'm like, nah, I'm not that important. But he knows how important I am, so that's good to know. So yeah, no, that's pretty neat. And I was really thinking about bringing my son, but I was like, I think he's a little young, but I know he would have had a great time just like that. And they showered him with shirts and stuff. It's pretty neat to see. And I know I had the kids sign one of the singlets, the extra singlets they had. So I got that from my archives in a magazine. Pretty neat to see. I didn't even look at the magazine. I don't know. Did you get one of the programs?
I did. I meant to grab one, and I didn't grab one.
Oh, geez. I got an extra one. Maybe I can send your way. But yeah, it's a pretty cool magazine. You even had your picture in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did Landon get one?
That picture's old too. I like it because I was skinnier at the time. So, but that's the one that Bago keeps on site. So even when I'm like 80, I think that'll still be the picture. So
it's like one of those old the newspaper guys that they put the picture in the paper, and you're like, dude, that's not you never see them like that. They have hair on their head, and they're like,
yeah, that was 5 years ago.
Nice. Nice. So anyway, it was a great trip. I'm glad you're able to come, and even though I had to make you wear a tie, I'm sorry I didn't put that in.
I made it look good, but it was I'm not a big we don't do a lot of ties in Bago, so if you're looking for you're looking for ties in Bago, you might have to wait until the restock after Landon and I had to go get one.
I just thought you guys use them for the funeral home.
Yeah, we went out and got it.
Nice. I was like, I was wondering if they're gonna be able to have funerals in Bago because you guys took all 3 ties. So
yeah, we even got Eric in a tie. He's in here, I think. He even get him. I've never seen him in a tie.
Eric said that Hayden would have let you sign it if you would have pinned DT in a half and a wrist.
I guess I'm probably not signing a shirt, but
I'm just gonna send this to Taylor, see if he'll respond. I'm sure he will.
As long as he stays in PA and I stay in Indiana, I think I'm still confident. If we're in the same zip code again, I'm not confident.
I think sometimes he comes for the Wabash camp.
Okay. Start training.
Don't you usually send some kids to that Wabash camp?
We used to, yeah.
Keyword used to. Now you're not going to send them.
Yeah, if David's coming back, we're not.
So yeah. So anyway, we'll keep it short here. I think we did a good recap. Glad to have you on here to recap it. And I'm glad that you were able to come, and you and Eric and Hayden and even Landon and everyone were able to have a great time. Like I said, it's fun, and I definitely, it's like everyone's like, when are you gonna do it again? When are you gonna do it again? And I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it every year, especially that, because I don't have as much stress just putting the team together. But they have a decent little rotation, and hopefully we can get in about every 5-ish years, I think is. And if they're kind of hard up for a team, I know they kind of reach out. I'd reach out a couple years ago, and then they reached out to me asking if I was interested, and I'm like, sure. So I'm, anytime they ask if I'm interested, I'm going to say yes. So
yeah.
You can't.
I really appreciate being a part of it. It was like I said, it was one of the coolest things I've been a part of wrestling event wise. And like you said, with the Indiana, Illinois, like it's a cool duel, but this is like an event, like a whole like thing, which is was pretty awesome. So I appreciate it. I know Landon was honored to be a part of it. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yep. So with that, we'll let everyone go, and I don't know when we'll be back. I know um, keep
When do you
wanting
need
to
me
do some
back?
more, have some more guests, maybe some new special guests. Mike's in softball season, so he's a little more busy, and there's not much wrestling to talk about. So I got some ideas on some guests coming in, talk about wrestling and talk about random things over the off season to kind of keep this going. Because I know a lot of people like to listen to us talk, or at least me, maybe I don't know. They just like to talk about wrestling. So, but thanks for joining us. Stay on here, and we'll talk a little bit afterward, and then uh, we'll see you guys some other time.